Awesome.
Yeah. Are we still live? No, wait, that's the ending. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jacob from 80/20 Media. With me here is Rob from Full Swing. And today we get to talk about the revenue that comes from having a relationship, or how to sell without being salesy.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much to say about this stuff, but one of the most interesting things, we actually were just going through a client call before this episode, and gotta love having a research guy on the team. It's just in his DNA. So he brought a very interesting statistic to the call, which was, in terms of the sales process, today's buyers are now 67% along the buying journey by the time they enter your sales process. Because there's so much stuff out there to educate, to learn, to figure out, to research, to make decisions about, to go, I don't like the way that they wore that shirt in that social media post. And all that stuff affects them. So because all of that advice is available and free, it's important to understand that a buyer today really wants a trusted advisor, not a closer, not a push, not a hard sell, not I'm now going to go silent because the first person who speaks, and I'll wait for 4 minutes because somebody taught that in 1992.
Right.
So those tactics are actually damaging nowadays. They don't work. And today we're here to talk about the consultative process. There's a bunch of different ways to configure that. I find myself doing a lot of consultative selling as well. I do some disruptive selling. That's my personality there, but there are frameworks that put you as a partner, allow you to be a trusted advisor, allow you to build a relationship throughout every step of that customer journey leading up to the transaction, because you want to maintain it after the transaction. Let's not forget that devilish 30% attrition rate in onboarding. And so, yeah, let's just work our way through this. I mean, I think you're an expert on this stuff, Rob. Like, why do people resist pressure? Inside of org, outside of org, how do we lead with value and curiosity? And let's talk about trust.
Yeah, nobody likes being sold to, right? They want to like people, no like and trust. So before you start pushing anything, right? I remember back in negotiation class, right? When you're learning to negotiate, you first have to tell yourself, like, what's the nature of the outcome to the two parties of the negotiation? Right. Is it win-win or is it win-lose? Right? Is it a ongoing relationship or is it a one-time only transactional thing? Well, let's bolt on the fact that it's always easier to grow an existing customer than it is to acquire a new one. So that should put us always in the mindset that we're forever building a relationship, right? We're not in a win-loss, we're in a win-win, right? So if we're going to get them to unpack their pain, we can do it if and only if, right? IFF, to get a little mathy about this. After we have sufficient rapport.
Yes.
Right? So don't be in a hurry to build a relationship. They take time. Have that first call, and if you get along famously and, oh my God, we only have 2 minutes left, we need to schedule a follow-up, that's actually the ideal outcome, right? Because you just had an awesome 30 minutes or 45, right? Yeah, that's the best case.
Yeah, that's very well said. And I really want to touch on rapport for a moment. I know I'm an outlier. I recognize this. Rapport means being present to the conversation that's actually happening, not making an assumption about somebody's interest in organized sport and then going for your thing, right? Or, oh, I had a cousin who visited there once. Like, it actually means rapport.
Right.
This is something that I find I get a certain amount of sense of who I'm in a conversation with by how much attention they pay to the conversation we're having versus the one that they're having.
Right.
And I think, having been on the receiving side of many scripted sales calls, it is so tangible when you are with somebody who is in the script going for the finish line. It just has a feeling and a
Yes.
tangible sense.
Can we find points of connection? That's what we're searching for. Valid, authentic, right? Points of connection are ideal, right? So if you're
Yes.
not a dog person, don't ask about their dog that you just saw walk behind them in frame, right? Like, but if you are, do, right?
Yes.
Oh, cool dog. Like, how old are they? Oh, that's just so and so, right? She's 6.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. My dog, Juno, just turned 4.
Right.
There we go. One pillar of commonality, right?
Yes.
And you can have a whole discussion about your dogs, right? That's a great start.
Yeah. You know, spending some time in the rev up space, if there's one thing that's really sunk into me about sales, what I like is, even though your team may not be the size, if you learn about what each of the roles are in the pre-transaction customer journey, it'll start to teach you what the steps are. And, you know, I think that's one of those things that you kind of said it earlier in a different way, Rob, but that first call may very well be a get acquainted call.
Right.
And qualifying on that call may be a little presumptuous. It may be a little pushy. It may be a little disconnected from the journey that the buyer is actually trying to have.
Right.
I want to really lean into that a bit today, and I'll probably repeat myself 9 times, because I don't want that statistic of the customer being 67% of the way on the buyer's journey to be misinterpreted as, right, awesome, then I just have to give them a push over the ledge because they're just standing close to it.
Nope. No like and trust, right? That's the part that's missing, no matter where you put it in the process. And there's nothing saying that the 67% of the way there includes that first step that you need to have in rapport building. So that, back to the beginning, and then hit the fast forward if and when you need to, but don't skip it.
Very well said. So let's work backwards here for a little bit. What's the most enjoyable experience you've ever had being sold to?
Ooh, those stories are in short supply, right? It's usually awful.
Yeah.
Usually awful. And I'm not a good customer in that regard either. So
tell me more about that. What do you mean? Are you talking about the way you like to buy, or the fact that you go in well informed and you're just like, where do I sign? Or what's that mean?
Well, I go in wildly well informed.
Okay.
With the negotiation already diagrammed. I know my walkaway number. I know typically the cost basis. Now we're talking specifically about car buying now.
Okay.
Performance, total cost of ownership, fuel consumption, insurance rates. I have a spreadsheet before I even talk to the salesperson, right?
Right.
So one of the cars I bought in 45 minutes, because I had a dinner reservation. I walked in and I said, I want that car with those wheels for this price. I have a dinner res in 45 minutes. I'm not going to take delivery today. Go.
Right.
Right. So I control the timeline.
Yeah.
The other one I went on a test drive. And as we walked out for the test drive, I looked at the tires. I said, oh, you have the Continental Pro contacts on this. This car did 0.92 Gs on the skid pad wearing that rubber. Right. So I have the data.
Yeah. Okay. So you're past 67%. You're into the 80s or 90s.
Right. It's theirs to lose by the time I get there.
Right. So this is a perfect example, right? Because all of that information is available to you, and you being interested in it, that's part of your buying journey. So you know what you're buying, you know why you're buying it.
Yeah.
So the factor here is who you're buying it from.
Correct.
So how do you make that choice? What has you go into this place to have that conversation with your spreadsheet versus that one?
Well, it's how are you treating me, right?
Okay.
Respectfully, back into car buying. Are you baking in the chair and constantly pulling time delay and absent third party on me?
Okay.
Right? If I see you're tactically being manipulative and doing all those slimy, salesy things, that's why I show up 45 minutes before close to put time pressure on you, and I make a dinner reservation, right?
Right.
So if you're not empowered to close a sale, please bring the sales manager over, right?
Right.
It's obvious that you don't have the standing, so I'd rather just talk to him or her, right? Don't care.
Right.
So bring them out here.
So we're in a unique situation because at least in that environment, because it is so fundamental to existence of a dealership, you're actually dealing with an organization that has a plan. There is a playbook. Right? How do you operate in these environments, which I'm going to say are the majority, where there is no playbook? What's your experience of being a customer in those places?
That's an interesting question. Where do I buy and there's no playbook?
Yeah, because more often than not, I find the places we're called into anyway, there isn't one, right? Like we've added 2 partnerships in the last month or so with people who actually create playbooks specifically for that purpose.
I think that the last sale I closed, I don't have a playbook. I know the general direction I want to go. So rapport, tell me about the problem you're trying to solve, right? Gently digging for pain.
Right.
Validate them, right? Oh, you totally get it. Oh, cute dog. How old are they? Right? Like,
yeah. So
be a human being and be curious, and you'll be surprised what they'll tell you.
But that's a really funny statement on your part because you just mapped out your playbook. You've revealed yourself in that upper right box of the unconscious competence, right?
Right.
Right. Like you do have a playbook, you just know it inside and out, so you don't have to look at it.
Right.
Right. Which I think is a fantastic thing. I would suggest that anybody who does have one role play it to the point that you can be natural about it and focus on being a human throughout it because you're not trying to remember the steps.
Right.
That is definitely how to sell without being salesy.
Right. If you're constantly looking at your list and like, oh wait, do you have the money? Right? That's awful. It's awful.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Qualify. Yes, but that The question about whether they can afford it is the wrong question. What is the cost of doing nothing, and how much is it hurting you are the right questions.
Yes.
Right? So
let's
curiosity will win. Come on.
keep breaking this apart for a second too, though. One of the things I'd like to touch on is, when should sales happen? And I think that's another thing. So if you have a customer journey, let's call it a pipeline, because that's what they call it inside the thing.
Right.
Then you need to also know and understand, in my opinion, that a lead isn't a sale. That there's a bunch of steps in there. And so leads need to be understood as that vertical, labeled as it, and managed as it. Right? So that you can take them through what we call conversion. There's a bunch of different words for it, but let's use a really old thing I memorized, I don't know how long ago: 8 to 20 points of contact, or 5 to 13 follow-ups. It doesn't matter which it is. It matters that you understand there are steps, which is why it doesn't make sense to do it's not even like get married on the first date. Like, that analogy is too weak. It's more like walk up to strangers at the bus stop and propose.
Right.
Yeah. Chill out. And yeah, because people are well informed, there's probably more pushback than compliance, right? That 67% number, again, a very dangerous number to be easily misinterpreted. It doesn't mean they're that far along the ready to buy from you thing.
Right.
It means they've gone from problem aware to searching for a solution to moving towards that buying decision. And the statistics I learned is that, that actual buying decision thing, that's 3% of the market. There's some math to do there, but you got to remember that there's still a lot of relationship stuff to do. Yeah. In there as you move through it.
Yeah. Where does the trust happen?
Every single time.
Don't push too hard, right? Mutual disclosure, building points of contact. Yes. At the end of the call, hey, when should we talk again? Let's pick a date.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's what I heard as action items. ... Did I miss anything?
Right.
Humility. Right. All right. Yep. I'll get my stuff done in the next 3 days. A timeline. All right. When can I expect the thing from you that you said you're going to deliver? Okay. A little bit of project management, but collaborative, right? Friendly, not imposing one on the other. All right, cool. I feel good about that. It's joyful talking to you, right?
Yeah.
People like people who like them, right? It's a mirror thing, right? All right. I look forward, and we'll talk to you on blah, blah, blah date. Yeah. Awesome. And then over deliver on your deliverables, right? That builds the trust. I said I'd have you this in 3 days. I'm going to send it to you in less than 3 days. Right? So you have a good call, you build trust, you follow through on your promises, you honor your commitments, right? Odds of them showing up to the next call, much better.
Absolutely.
They don't always show up to the next call. Fair. But the odds are better, right? That can turn your 50% no-show rate into a 30% no-show rate if you do it right. Yeah.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
Automate. have reminders. I mean, the show rate thing is such a solvable problem, including the cancel and reschedule link options, right? Way better to give people the opportunity to opt out before they show up to a call, instead of hounding them to be there so they can tell you that they're not interested. There's so much tools and technology where you can, how do I want to say it, comfortably distance yourself. And if you're the kind of person who isn't comfortable with rejection, right? That's something that I'd say, you mentioned this earlier, Rob, transparency, but you can also bring it in as a thing of vulnerability. Right? Like, listen, I completely understand if this is not for you. Let's book the meeting right now. And you should know that if you decide between now and then that this isn't the right time to move ahead, there's a button there that saves us both the time and the trouble. And like, again, you can be very, very human with it. Like, Netflix doesn't pick up the phone and scream why when you say, no more, I'm done my whatever it is, $10 a month, right? They make it as easy as possible because they know at some point you'll come back if it's also very easy too. And I think these are nods that we can take from companies that have scaled and have technology and are just very much arm's length because they just want to be super convenient.
Boy, I want to contrast that with the DMV.
Tell me more. Tell me more about this.
It's a bit of a funny story because I went there today.
Okay.
They sent me a meeting confirmation. The address on the meeting confirmation took me to a kiosk in a Jewel.
Okay.
That is not the DMV. So then I just had to Google, where is the DMV? And then I drove there. There's a big sign on the door that says, sorry, we've moved. So they didn't update their address in Google.
Wow.
So then I got in my car again. I drove to the next place.
Right.
And when I walked in, the guy met me at the front door and he said, do you have your confirmation email?
Oh, wow.
And I said, was I supposed to print that out and bring it in? He goes, well, unless I see that email from you, you can't confirm you have an appointment. I won't let you in.
Is this security? This isn't like DMV. This is pre-DMV.
This is at the front door of the DMV.
Right, but like we're now at the airport. This is not showing your ticket. This is going through security to get to the.
So the craziness continued on. I'll stop the story there. Was there any rapport building? Was there any trust? Was there any competence along the way?
Well, they had qualification. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that's how not to sell.
Right.
Like act like the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have to sell because you don't have a choice.
It sounds to me more like a speakeasy at this point where you've got the little slot in the door and the password.
Yeah, I felt like asking the guy, would anyone come here if they didn't need to be here?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing good inside. There's no happiness.
Right.
It's like maybe you misunderstand what's behind you, but this is like it's a cesspool of incompetence. Like that's where we're going. Poor systems, poor communication, a lack of modern technology, and you're keeping people out. Like,
right.
That's no one is here who doesn't need to be here, man. Like,
I mean, to land on some of the things we covered on previous episodes, I kind of want to go to their website and read what their motto is. just to see how perpendicular your experience is.
right. Oh, it's wild.
Amazing.
Yeah. So a little rapport building goes a long way.
It sure does.
Qualify through curiosity, not through aggression. Like, memorize your dang list so you can just integrate it into a very humanistic conversation. Just talk to people.
Yes. Just talk.
Don't be salesy.
Yeah. You touched something very important earlier, which I don't think we dug into enough, but you said these two magic words, pain points, and the only way to get there, in my opinion, is to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot. We were in a call recently where we're scoping a service for our client inside of somebody else's provider space. And it's a collaborative thing. We're not there to like be, these are good, those are bad, we're right, they're wrong. But one of the things I noticed, because again, there's like 6 people on the call and all the techie people are there and the customers there are, and their customers there. And I asked a few questions. And then I mentioned to the customer, the BAM fam, like, I need to book a one-on-one with you to do a deep dive. And I didn't realize it at the moment. It was only in reflection, but I asked the good questions because he immediately backpedaled and said, give me at least a week so I can prepare and be ready for you on that call.
Yep.
And, you know, again, there's that thing, like, that call's happening tomorrow. It's booked. It's a full, like, 9 days after I said, can we talk in a day or two? Right. And, you know, I'm empowering him. Everything that we need is going to be there. We both left with homework, like you said. Yes. Right? We have deliverables. I saw that stuff come in the emails. Take a look at this, look at that. I'm going to go in there so well informed, and I can spend my time much better and serve much better. Now, that's post-transaction. We're past onboarding into fulfillment there. But the point is, it's always a sales process. It's always a sales call. And that's maybe one of the points that, if, you know, as we start to wrap up the idea, there's things to look for, right? Somebody confidently saying, I've got some work to do. I'm going to do it. I'll be happy to see you at this day and time. That's not a bad scenario.
That's a buying signal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The one customer I'm working to close right now, in the same situation you're talking about, said, actually, would you be willing to list out the homework you need me to do? So when I show up to that call, I make sure I have everything that we need for it to be successful?
Yeah.
Amen. Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Put that at the top of my to-do list.
Yes.
Right?
And there we are. They're invested. They're investing time and energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to help him 2x, 3x his revenue and get the exit he wants in the next 3 years.
Beautiful.
Right? That's the goal. That's the mission. And took a little bit of talking tech with him, right? Right? HVAC, plumbing, electrical, right? Speaking that language, fluid flow through a plane, blah, 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 inches, water column, differential pressure, right? You got to know a little bit to be able to relate. And also echo back to him what he's sharing with you, right? Love the value that I'm hearing in that. Yes, you want your customers to believe in you. Yes, solid, right? Excellent service is your motto. Love that, right? Like, genuinely, that is a solid foundation to build on. Let's Let's work on your website. Make sure it portrays that accurately. Let's get
Absolutely.
your operation humming, right? So, yeah, meet them where they are, right? Affirm what's good. Facilitate them unpacking their own pain. Relate to them to the extent you can. They're going to give you things, right? Make sure you're good enough to be able to connect.
Absolutely.
Don't be salesy and you'll be yes to them. Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
Dig it.
Anything else we want to leave people with today in terms of sales and selling? There's so much stuff that you can go out there and learn and study and understand.
Yeah.
If I want to drop one thing, I think one of the more influential books was Never Split the Difference. It's a great way of understanding communication, but also how people hear what you're saying. If you haven't read it, the most amazing part about that book isn't what's he tagged as the FBI's most successful hostage negotiator. It's understanding that all the negotiations happened through an interpreter.
Right.
Right? Imagine how good you have to be at communication when I'm selling to someone and I never get to speak to them. I only get to speak to Rob.
Right.
Right? And then Rob translates it into a foreign language and speaks to them. And yet you can build rapport.
It's wild. It's wild.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite in the sales trainings that I ever learned,
Mhm.
it was called insight selling.
Okay.
And it was all about understanding your customers' pain, like
Mhm.
holistically in an empirical way.
Mhm.
So we were writing pitches to the utility for one of our products, right? The sentences and the structures we used in those meetings were like, you insert a little allegory here, right? And imagine the picture, right?
Yeah.
So the next time the squirrel uses your distribution line as their own personal highway,
Mhm.
you don't have to roll a truck. Well, rolling a truck costs $600. 2 truck rolls pays for the piece of equipment. The
Right.
squirrel's the bad guy in that statement. We put a squirrel in a leather jacket on a Harley Davidson riding a motorcycle across the distribution line,
Right.
right? So we're anthropomorphizing a squirrel
Yeah.
to illustrate the point. It's funny. They laugh, amygdala open, land the point. You don't have to roll the truck, right?
Right.
That's the insight sale. You only get there if you really understand the cost, their pain, right? In dollars and cents.
Absolutely. Yeah. That
Do your homework.
is very well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to cap it off, I guess if you are focused on the relationship, then you can manage these exceptionally long sales cycles because the door is always open.
Yeah.
And that's something else to consider, especially if you look at how things are moving out there. Right? Because what you sell today may not be what you're selling tomorrow.
Mm. Cool. Great
Yeah.
show.
Thank
Great
you
show.
for your time. For
Awesome.
those of you who are hanging out with us, thanks for being here. For those of you catching the replay as well, appreciate you and your time. And anything you want to say in terms of feedback, your ideas, everybody learns when you comment. So share your opinions and stuff too.
Yeah. Topics for the future. We're all ears.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Thank you.